Your child looks at you, not as a flawed human, but as a near God. Their minds soak in everything you say, their brains storing it all as fact. If you tell them the sun will rise from the west, they won't question it. They'll just accept it as reality. As much as we understand the importance of our words as parents, sometimes it's easy to forget how powerful they really are. How can we break through to our kids when they shut down and clam up? We often resort to phrases that stick. Some of us use phrases we heard growing up, though they didn't help us then. Others say whatever comes to mind, anything to get through the day. But our children don't see the tiredness behind our words. They see the words. We're 6 things parents say that stay with their children forever. You're just being lazy. It's for a child, that's not just a sentence, it's an identity. Said enough times it becomes the way they see themselves. Not someone who's tired, not someone who's struggling, just lazy, worthless, not trying hard enough. And that belief becomes hard to unlearn. Because when the words come from a parent, they don't sound like opinions, they sound like facts. Once labeled, everything a child does later gets filtered through that lens. They see themselves as lazy, so they stop trying to prove themselves. They give up. They stop dreaming. And when you give up on dreams, you give up on life. Even as adults, we still feel the sting of that word. It brings up memories, shame, helplessness. The child within us shrinks, hoping for understanding, hoping to be seen. To say you're lazy is to say, I don't see you, your effort, your heart. I only see the result. And the result means you're not enough. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Behind every result is a story. Every achievement was born out of struggle. Every success was preceded by failure. Our job as parents is to help them navigate that journey, not tell them it wasn't worth trying. You're being too emotional, tells a child. Your feelings are too much. That your sadness is inconvenient. That your tears make people uncomfortable. So instead of learning to process emotion, they learn to hide it. They start apologizing every time they cry. They learn to laugh when they're hurt. And worst of all, they believe that being open is a flaw. So they grow up armored, detached, afraid of feeling too deeply. Not because they want to be cold, but because someone once made warmth feel like weakness. Growing up without healthy expression leaves deep scars. Imagine a world where your feelings aren't valid, where crying is met with ridicule, laughter, where asking for help brings more shame than comfort. Your emotions then become a burden, something to hide, not share. We owe it to our children to be the safe harbor, not the storm they fear. When we tell them they're being too emotional, we teach them to fear feeling, not deal with it. We rob them of empathy, of depth, of the very essence of what it means to be human. I'm disappointed in you. Most parents have high hopes for their children, so naturally they want the best for them. I'm disappointed in you sounds gentler than yelling, but it hurts just as much, because disappointment isn't about what the child did, it's about who they are. I'm disappointed in you says, you haven't lived up to the idea I have of you. Who you are falls short of my expectations. It creates a quiet guilt, a heavy silence. And for many kids, that silence becomes a lifelong soundtrack. They keep hearing it long after the words were spoken. In school, in work, in love, they fear failing. Not because they'll mess up, but because they'll let someone down, so they'll live cautiously. Not to chase joy, but to avoid shame. It steals their willingness to take risks, to dream big, to aim for the stars. I'm disappointed in you echoes through their lives, shaping choices, stifling passions. It makes them play small, settle for less, all to avoid the ghost of disappointment. The irony is we disappoint our children every day. It's part of being human. But saying it out loud turns that shared experience into a shameful secret. It puts up walls instead of building bridges. That hurts the most. You always mess things up. That phrase makes failure feel permanent. It turns one mistake into a pattern, and patterns into identity. The child hears it and stops trying. They start to believe they're the problem. So they either overcompensate and become perfectionists, or they give up entirely. Because why try if they'll just mess it up again? Later in life, they might hesitate every time they start something new, because in the back of their mind, that voice returns. It's not the voice of reason, but the voice of a parent who gave up on them too soon. When we say you always mess things up, we erase the possibility of growth, of learning. We paint a full stop when there should be a comma. we rob them of the chance to rewrite their story. As parents, we want our kids to be resilient, to bounce back from failure. But telling them they can't do anything right makes them afraid to try, kills their curiosity, their drive to explore. That's a loss for everyone. Can't you do anything right? Seems like a rhetorical question, but for a child, it's a painful answer. They hear, you're incapable, you're broken. That kind of doubt doesn't motivate, it paralyzes. It makes every action feel like a test. Failure feels like confirmation that they're not good enough. So they start seeking constant approval, or avoiding challenges entirely. And in adulthood, they carry the echo of that question everywhere they go. Especially in the moments they need confidence most. We forget that children are learning. They're figuring out this crazy thing called life. And yes, they'll make mistakes. But that's how they learn. Each stumble is a lesson. Each setback is a stepping stone. Telling them they can't do anything right takes away their chance to learn those lessons. It robs them of their childhood, of their innocence. We owe it to our kids to believe in them, to see their potential even when they can't see it themselves. Yes, they'll fail. But as long as they believe in themselves, they can pick themselves back up and try again. That's the greatest lesson of all. You're acting like a baby. Acting like a baby isn't wrong. It's a survival mechanism. It's crying when you're hungry, sleeping when you're tired, seeking comfort when you're scared. That's what babies do. But when we tell our kids you're acting like a baby, we're labeling their natural behavior as wrong. We're implying that they shouldn't have needs, that they shouldn't ask for help, that they shouldn't express themselves. We're teaching them to suppress their true selves. And that's harmful. We want our kids to be independent, yes, but independence comes after security, after knowing that it's okay to rely on others, to ask for help, to be vulnerable. When we say you're acting like a baby, we send the message that their needs are burdensome, that their feelings are inconvenient. And that's a heavy burden for any child to carry. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. They do stop acting like babies because they believe it's wrong. But in doing so, they lose their ability to connect, to empathize, to be truly human. As parents, our job is to guide them, to teach them how to navigate the world, not to shame them for being authentic. When we tell them you're acting like a baby, we rob them of their humanity, their connection to themselves and others. You're lucky I even take care of you. You're lucky I even take care of you isn't about gratitude, it's about control. You're lucky I even take care of you implies that you could abandon them and they wouldn't be able to survive. And that's a scary thought for a child. It makes them feel like a burden, something to be endured, not loved. We owe it to our kids to show them that they're cherished, that they're valuable, not lucky to be tolerated. When we say you're lucky I even take care of you, we turn parenting into a transaction, affection into leverage, love into a conditional reward. And that's a dangerous game. It creates a lifelong pattern of seeking approval, of fearing abandonment, of feeling undeserving of love. We've all heard phrases like these before. Maybe we even use them ourselves. But awareness is the first step to change. Understanding the impact of our words gives us the power to choose differently. It won't be easy. There will be times when we're tired, frustrated, feeling like these phrases are the only way out. But our kids are watching, listening, learning. And the best lesson we can give them is the one we wish we'd received. So let's choose our words carefully. Let's make them count, not just as words, but as tools to shape young minds and hearts. What words have stayed with you from your childhood? Impact did they have? Sharing our stories helps break the cycle. Let's listen, learn, and do better together.